I'll bring it back up.
And I have and we're live, but I have to take a drink because unfortunately we're in dry air now and it's cold.
It is very cold. Very cold.
Ooh, excuse me. But Enormous UFO Supercell show number 22. It's being done on Saturday the 19th. This is the Saturday before Thanksgiving, and it's starting to feel like it's Thanksgiving outside because it's cold, it's windy, and there's still no snow on the ground. At least not here. Not far from here there is, but not here.
Not far from here, there's lots of snow on the ground.
Yeah, because as I mentioned before, when on last week's show, when Matt was sick and dying in his house or something or other, I mentioned there was a storm coming, and the storm came, and it did create a blizzard, like I said it was going to, and it dumped a lot of snow in about the same place that I said, about the eastern Dakotas through Minnesota, and a little bit in northwest Iowa got some snow, about 2 to 4, 5 inches there. We had flurries here. It was nice. It was interesting. The only thing it did here was it got really windy, and my door blew open twice. Which I was not happy about. So, and my leaves all blew all over the place, and it felt like the roof was going to fly off or some such thing.
Yeah, I had a bunch of stuff on my roof blow off. I'm not sure what it was. It wasn't anything substantial, but I could hear a lot of stuff moving around.
Yeah, so it was just one of those type of really. It was one of those typical windstorms we see in the upper Midwest in late fall and into the winter. We always get these windstorms where the wind's blowing 30 or 40 miles an hour for like a day and a half. Finally starting to calm down here. And it was really bad because we're doing this on Saturday. The front came through yesterday morning. Thursday, Thursday, it was 75. Roughly.
Mm-hmm.
And tonight the forecasted low here where because Matt and I live in the same town, is 19. So we're not happy people. If it was 19 and there was snow on the ground, there'd be lots of happy people because people would go snowmobiling. 19 when there's no snow on the ground, nobody's happy.
Boo.
Because in Matt's case, Matt can't go riding because it's too cold unless he wants hypothermia. And you can't go snowmobiling because there's no snow. You can't go camping because it's too cold. You could, but unless you want hypothermia. So there's nothing you can do. You're stuck inside. It's the beginning of the time of the year where you're stuck inside and you can't do anything.
Yep. Bingo.
So that's why Matt's probably going to be bouncing off the walls in about 5 or 6 days if it continues to stay cold, because he's not going to want to do that.
In other news, NWS Podunk is having issues.
Uh-oh.
The anemometer at Powagos International Airport was destroyed in a freak accident today involving luggage and an Auntie Anne's pretzel truck. And this is what we do in the wintertime when you're a bored meteorologist.
Well,
you look at the Twitter feed of NWS Podunk.
Yeah. And I bet they got into a sticky situation when the cinnamon frosting from Cinnabon got stuck on everything too. See, Matt is still dying because he's coughing. He's still sick.
I'm just now getting over it. I'm 100% today. I just got that little bit of a cough. You might hear it in my voice a little bit.
You have the cough that's going to last for at least another week to 2 weeks.
Probably.
Yeah, because I have a cold now, and it's mainly really going to get bad now because we had a major temperature drop where we go from the 70s to the 20s, and it's really like a big whoosh. Here it comes.
Yep.
So I'd had the cold for a while. It's kind of leveling off right now, so it's fine. I'm not coughing. I'm not even coughing that much. I'm hacking stuff up once in a great while, but I would say it's a minor cold, stuffed up nose, more probably due to the fact the humidity level in my house is low now, and I refuse to do a humidifier because I have hardwood floors, and I don't want my hardwood floors to get warped because I am not paying for having floors put in. So they'll get cracked, but I'd rather not put him in a humidifier because I have my own humidifier downstairs. It's known as my washer and dryer. Like all I have to do is wash my clothes. But other than the blizzard that occurred, which are we of any apparent? Do we know if the Weather Channel even named this thing? I don't think they did.
Let me look on Twitter.
Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. They don't give a crap about South Dakota because nobody lives there, so not named. That's about what I think. That'd be like, oh, well, then we shouldn't name this hurricane out in the middle of the Atlantic because nobody lives there. True.
Yeah.
It's more or less the Weather Channel. If they're going to name stuff, name everything. Don't just say, well, it's in Podunk, North Dakota. Who gives a crap? Oh my God, a flurry in New York City. Name the damn thing. It has received a name. Create travel delays.
It has received a name.
Was it the A storm?
Yes, it's the A storm.
Well, it's gone now.
It is now Winter Storm Argos.
Yeah, Argos, go away. It went, and I think the next storm, that's Tuesday, it's supposed to bring more snow. That's probably going to get named too.
Mm-hmm.
The Weather Channel will name that one because it's supposed to be similar to this last one, except we're supposed to get more precipitation out of this one, mostly rain. At least here. Might start as snow, but it changed to rain immediately. So, and that's going to be right in the travel time when people are wanting to go on planes for Thanksgiving travel, which Tuesday, especially Wednesday, is the busiest travel day.
Mm-hmm.
There could be a bad storm, and that just causes delays, and there could be a strike at some airport. Won't mention where, Chicago. And so it's going to be that's the worst thing you hate about Thanksgiving week, this coming week, is that if the weather turns lousy, everybody's going to talk about it. There's be something different to talk about than the election or anything else because they're still talking about that. But the big thing that happened was today, which is GOES-R, finally got launched. Thank God. I'd been hearing about this satellite forever. When Henry and I went to NWA last year, they had a whole thing on GOES-R because they thought they were going to launch it earlier this year before NWA occurred this year.
Right.
In September, which didn't happen because it got delayed. And so they had a whole thing on it again this year at NWA, which I didn't go to. Because why would I want to go to NWA if they were going to do a whole thing on the same thing that I just heard about the year before? a whole like 2-hour section on just GOES-R again. I already went to GOES-R because I actually went to that because you had to, when we were Henry and I were in Oklahoma City, you had to pick and choose what you wanted to go to because there was multiple sessions going on at once.
Yeah, there's way too much going on anyways.
Yeah, and I went to the GOES-R one because I thought that is something that's going to happen. We need to know about it. So I went to that one. I didn't need to go back to it again. and another reason I didn't go to Norfolk this year was because I bought a house. And I think buying a house was more important than going and spending money at a hotel in Norfolk, Virginia.
This is true.
Although next year's NWA meeting is in California, in LA. So, and that's in September of next year. That's questionable if I want to go there or not.
That might be a good idea to go.
To go or not to go?
To go. I think it might be.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. It's going to depend on what the situation is here at this point. Because with me not doing the network anymore, I mean, I'd like to do it. Typically West Coast ones are not very well attended. Never have been. Because they've had them in Tucson, they've had them in LA and other places in the West. So Salt Lake City a couple years ago. They're decent but not very well attended.
Right.
So yeah, and I'm gonna do that. So Matt says he wants that people are begging for links.
They are.
Like we have people, they want to see this crap.
Let me watch. Let me listen.
So back to the Gozar thing, which Gozar launched an hour late, I might add, because of a technical issue. But it did launch. It was an hour late. It launched about 5:45 our time. I think it was, which was about an hour and a half ago. And it is successfully in orbit. So as soon as it gets into its thing, which will be in a few hours or so, it will lose its letter and become a number, which will be Ghost 16. It'll be in testing mode for almost a year, or about a year, before it'll go into operation, at that point they will decide where it's going to be placed. And Matt and I discussed this before we started recording, that the likelihood is it's going to replace Goes East, which is Goes 13, which is the oldest, because Goes 13 over the last couple of years have had a lot of technical problems where it's gone off and they've had to have Goes 14 take over. And in some cases where Goes 14 wasn't in the right position, they had to have Goes 15 go to full disk, which can be really crappy, especially because it doesn't do the East that well.
And it will bog your system down.
Yeah.
With me.
So, I mean, right now, and I'll let me do this, because I can get what, and the interesting thing is Himawari, a few weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Himawari, we have the Himawari Japan made.
Yeah.
Up. They already have launched the second one, and they launched it, and it's not going to be in operation for 8 years.
Wow.
I'm thinking, I'm sorry, I'd start using it now.
It's going to be in Space Park for...
Because they're not going to start using it until the other Himawari is used up. I think it's 6, something like that. I'd have to look, but I'm going to show what a full disk of the satellite is, because I'm going to bring up Goes East at full disk, as long as it stops doing something. Okay, here we go.
Yeah,
this is what full disk would look like. So this is Goes East at full disk. And as you can see, it's try to do this when if let's say Goes West isn't working. Can you have a good view of like Hawaii? You don't see Hawaii because Goes East doesn't go that far. So that's why you would have a problem with this. As you can see, if I make sure I go back to this, you'll see here's the storm that came through, Argos or Argoes or whatever the heck it's called. This is the system that brought the wind, snow over here in the Dakotas and Minnesota. You see, it's bringing some low clouds, a few flurries, probably lake effect. I think there's lake effect. No,
and also here's one other item of significant worth, at least here in the U.S.
Are we talking about down here?
Possibly. It ended rainless streak.
Oh, yes. Birmingham ended their 61-day streak of no precipitation. They got 1/100th. Oh my God! They better issue flood warnings.
Yep.
I almost felt sad last night. I was watching storms going across the south, and I was like, oh, they're going to get some rain. Oh, no, they all died. I can't
They fizzled out pretty quick once they hit that boundary between drought and non-drought, about 2/3 of the way through Mississippi.
Yeah, those things just died so quickly.
I think I was watching some of Span's stuff last night, and I think he brought up a pretty good point. The fact that, he realizes that that last night's rain wasn't a drought buster by any stretch of the imagination. But it's a good sign because basically what he said was that moisture begets more moisture. So the more rain we get with this one, then the more rain will be precipitable with the next one.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. And he seems to think, and I think I agree with him based on model data, is that this drought is about to end. Because they have a decent rain event coming up here on Wednesday.
Yeah, with the system
that
we discussed earlier. Yeah.
Yes. There's that coming up. And then he said there might be another one that next Saturday or Sunday.
The weekend. Oh, the weekend of Iron Bowl?
Yes, Iron Bowl weekend.
You don't want that. I don't think any Alabama Auburn fans are going to give a crap if they play the game in the rain. They'd be happy for the rain, but not for the football game being so sloppy even.
Yeah. But if there's no lightning, then game on.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing is the South is real. You feel kind of bad because they've been having a really bad dry spell and drought. And when they're not getting precipitation, you'd have to remember, we get a lot of our precipitation. Our moisture comes from the Gulf. Well, if the moisture is coming out of the Gulf, it has to go over all that dry air, and that moisture evaporates. So eventually, if that drought doesn't start getting its act together soon, it's eventually going to start affecting our weather, and then we're not going to start getting any precipitation. And all the precipitation we'd have to get is going to have to come from the Pacific.
Yes.
And good luck with that. Because Pacific moisture is very difficult to get here. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. You would either have to get it out of the Eastern Pacific from some tropical entity, which is not happening now, or from a Pacific system coming in from the west, or from an Alberta Clipper, which is likely where we're going to get a lot of our storms this year, is probably going to be Alberta Clippers.
Yep.
Because I don't see a whole heck of a lot. With this being a La Nina winter, that typically means the South stays dry, which pretty much means there's going to be very little moisture flow coming out of the Gulf, which pretty much means here we're not going to get these big Texas Panhandle hook type storms that then draw up the moisture and it dumps heavy snow. We're probably going to get a lot of these Alberta Clippers that dump 2 to 3 inches of snow every 3 or 4 days. It'll pile up, but it's not going to be heavy wet snow, which a lot of people like that because they're not going to want to do heavy snow. It's going to be powdery snow, which is very good for cross-country skiing. Snowmobiling is very good with powdery snow more than heavy wet snow. So we'll have to see.
Yep, wait and see.
But powdery snow also means that there's little moisture content. So does that mean that we're going to be heading into spring with no moisture in the ground?
I think that's way too far out to even be looked at, or for that question to even be asked.
Well,
simply because we don't know what things could happen. Because if you rely on the European models or the Southeast for precipitation, a lot of those members have precipitation down there of well over 6 inches, with some members in excess of 8. And if that in any way holds true, then that will almost be a moot point because they will be flipped all of a sudden from a drought to a surplus of moisture.
Well, the thing is, if it dumps the 6 to 8 inches at once, it's not going to do diddly squat. It's all going to it's all going to run off and run away.
That's from now until the end of the year, essentially.
Well, yeah, 6 to 8 inches from now to the end of the year. It would drop the drought, but it wouldn't end it. It would probably go from the D4 it is now, D3, D4, down to maybe D0, the abnormally dry, or D1. The ground would be wet. It will be moist enough, but because it's so far gone, it's going to take a lot to get back down. It's not like it was a few years ago in Texas, Oklahoma, where they had D3 and D4 drought, and all of a sudden here comes a 1 month of rain that May of 2-3 years ago, where it just dumped a ton of rain, and they went from D4 drought to nothing in a month. But they had like 15 inches of rain, and everything started flooding. I don't think Alabama or Mississippi, Georgia want that. They would want something like a nice inch of rain that soaks down in like a 24-hour period. That works for them. That would build up the lakes, the reservoirs. The ground would get its moisture slowly, because if it's too fast, it's just going to run off because the ground is too hard. It's just going to run off, and all you're going to have is flash flooding everywhere.
Bingo.
So that's what, hopefully they're going to get some precipitation, but I fear that they may get storms out of that, because it has been dead quiet on severe weather lately. And it's still the fall tornado season down there.
This is
and as was mentioned what happened last year, you could have tornadoes even to Christmas, as was the case with Holly Springs, and then the tornado in Dallas, in the Dallas suburbs, the day after Christmas. You can still have deadly weather from now through February in the South.
Well, yeah, there was a wedge tornado that went through downtown Mobile. What was that, 3 years ago?
That was in 2012 on Christmas afternoon.
Yeah, Christmas afternoon, so 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was in 2012, because I remember of that, because there's video of that. But
lots of news coverage.
Yeah, so I mean, and then there was a tornado on Christmas in Birmingham last year.
There was, you're right.
Yeah, there was, because Span had to be on, and everybody everybody complained about something being, that they were taking something off the air. Oh, because it was the NBA game, because ABC had NBA, and Span was getting hate mail and all sorts of stuff, and he was on, and there was a tornado, and it was on the ground, and it was destroying things, and he was on the air and saying, "This is an actual tornado on the ground. We're not messing around here," because he was getting a lot of flack, and I think that wasn't justified for the fact that there was a tornado on the ground in a population center. No matter if it had been out in the middle of nowhere, because he would have been on no matter what, because he's not like the Weather Channel and, oh, we're not going to name a winter storm in the middle of Wyoming. Oh, flurries in New York, let's name it. But we were talking about a population center in danger of tornado, and people are complaining, I want to watch my game. And I'm thinking, priorities. There isn't any. It drives me nuts. I'm just hoping.
There's priorities with the majority of people out there. Most people out there get it and they understand, that if he has to be on, then he has to be on. But it's those few people who
they don't understand.
You either catch on the wrong day when they're just having a bad day, or something else is going on in their life and they're just Mr. or Mrs. Debbie Downer. They just unload all your problems or all their problems onto you. Is that fair? No, but it happens.
And the thing about it is that in today's age, this is 2016, people. and this is me ranting now. You can watch stuff on a mobile. You can watch stuff on a tablet. I mean, you don't need TV. People keep cutting cords now. People are cord cutting so quickly nowadays. There's at least 20 to 30% of the population doesn't even have cable or satellite anymore. I mean, you're not. It just boggles the mind that there's still people that are attached to their television like it's their God-given. That's their only way to the outside world. And I'm thinking, there are people that are poor that have smartphones. I do not have a smartphone because I can't afford to have a smartphone because I already have internet in 500,000 other places. But I'm not connected to my TV. Yes, do I have cable? Yes. Do I watch it? Hardly. I'm paying a bunch of money a month to have it, but I'm paying that also to have my internet. So, and a house phone that I don't hardly use. So, but it's just too many people are thinking they can only watch it on X when you can get it on X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you can get it 60,000 other ways. And, oh, you can't watch shows on whatever network, but you can watch them like a day later on xyz.com or whatever.
And sometimes if you want to go this route, which is not the most morally sound in my opinion, but you can get a lot of that stuff that you pay for on the internet for free. There are people that hack the stream or whatever, excuse me, hack the broadcast or do whatever it is they do, and then broadcast it out on something like YouTube. And it's free. All you need is a connection to YouTube, and you have whatever you want to watch.
And in this day and age, especially with sports programming, a lot of stuff that's on ABC, for example, would end up on ESPN online anyway. Everything that's on air is always streamed. For those that, but you have to have a cable subscription for that. For example, since I have a cable subscription, I can stream anything from ESPN, even if it's not airing on ESPN. I can stream it because I have a subscription to cable. But in this day and age, a lot of people, yeah, they cord cut. But what they honestly do not know, and I don't think this is going to change even when Trump becomes president, that the broadcasters, network people, the 3340 in Birmingham, Channel 279, whatever, all the stations, they have to interrupt for warnings, especially tornado warnings. They don't have to stay on. But in some cases, a lot of stations just put in a crawl because a crawl would suffice. But if you did that and you were watching that and a tornado came and you were seriously injured, you would have no case to sue the TV station you were watching because they didn't warn you, because that's your responsibility to read what the message says and to take action. They can't come to your house and take you to the basement. And
right. You have to do that yourself.
And the thing that drives me nuts that because this goes back to April 27th, 2011 type stuff where people died. You can't babysit everybody. You can't take them all. You can't go to their house and take them to the basement. It's up to them. And if they didn't do it, the weather people shouldn't be blamed for the amount of people that get killed because they didn't do the right thing. And if they didn't do the right thing, then it's not their fault. They gave them the warning and whatnot. And it just irritates me to all heck. So, and Matt lost audio. Funny. So I will keep going until Matt guys get back on. So while that happens, I mean, it's just kind of annoying when stuff like that just irks me to all heck. So let me make sure I Okay, Matthew is back, so who knows what he heard and what he didn't. But
you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Yay! Okay, I'm gonna turn off my video to save data.
Yeah, because anyway, back to me yelling and throwing a hissy. Now, the people, they have to do what they're told about, because otherwise, if they don't tell you bad weather's coming and they don't tell you the warnings are tornadoes are coming and etc., their license will be pulled. I don't care who the president of the United States is. It doesn't matter. The rules are the rules are the rules. And I don't think those are going to change with Donald Trump being president. I don't care if it had been Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or whoever. Yeah, the rules are the rules. That is how you get a license. You have to abide by the rules, and those are the rules.
Never change for one, if only for one reason. That is the most political. That is the biggest political A+ that any candidate or incumbent could ever have. Is doing good with the people, showing tax dollars at work. Is weather stuff.
Yeah, the Weather Service.
It's easy to look at the ratio between dollars spent and lives saved.
No,
it's easy to see the correlation.
You just have to worry about, and we may have to have a discussion about this maybe in a month or so when we get closer to the next presidency coming up, as to whether in a Republican administration that's incoming, there's been in the past Republicans trying to privatize the Weather Service or trying to move the Weather Service out of the business of a lot of things and doing a lot of things which have irked a lot of weather people, because the Weather Service is doing a good job given the fact that they've been given almost no money. They have staff that's at bare minimum, if that, and you can't. They want, and it's been the talk of Republicans in the past. Doesn't mean that's the Republicans of now.
Right.
Of wanting to privatize stuff and have AccuWeather and all these other things and whatnot. We'd have a whole discussion of that, which we're not going to get into, because at least not yet, because we have to wait until we find out more of what's going to happen with the new administration, because they're still trying to get kind of their act together to find out who's going to be in what positions and who's going to be doing what and where and why and how. And
they still need to be installed yet.
Well, it does.
The administration still needs to be installed before that.
Well, we need to find out who's going to be where. You can, for example, they're already saying who's going to be the secretary of whatever and this and that, whatever. You would want to know, because that would tell you the direction of where the new administration is taking. For example, the Department of Commerce, which is where the Weather Service is. The first thing I do, and this would, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, or whatever. The Weather Service is in the Department of Commerce. Why the hell is it there? Because, this is my thought, if the Weather Service is here to save lives, if bad weather is coming, doesn't that sound like it should be in Homeland Security instead? Because it is trying to secure the homeland. Here comes big hurricane. Big hurricane is going to do as much destruction as somebody flying a 747 into a hotel or something.
Well, that makes sense on the outside, but the reason why the Weather Service is headquartered, I guess you could say, for lack of a better term, with the Department of Commerce, is because we're not just, the NWS isn't just providing weather information for constituents. They are working with other governmental organizations to provide weather assistance. They are working with the military. They're working with other departments, i.e. the Department of Agriculture, the Department of State. They're working with other
and the Department of Interior
entities, as well as working with private companies for for innovation in weather sensing. Best case of that, the biggest private contributor to GOES-R is Northrop Grumman and Raytheon.
Yeah.
They're the people that actually put together and built and designed those instruments that are on GOES-R.
Yeah.
The Department of Commerce, by the way that the Department of Commerce is structured, allows for an organization such as the National Weather Service the flexibility to reach out and work with all these other different entities within government and within private business and with its constituents, the regular everyday citizens of the United States like you and me, to do what it needs to do. It can reach out to a Northrop Grumman and say, hey, can you help us build this instrument? Can you help us put together the satellite? We have these ideas, we have these studies, we have these rudimentary designs. Can you bring your people in? Let's work together. Let's build this thing. Let's throw it up into space so we can do some better weather.
Yeah,
better weather forecasting.
And then in turn, you would also with that you have to get involved with NASA, which is not technically a department of anything.
It is part of the military. NASA is part of the defense.
Partially, it's partially part of it because it's kind of the public version of the Defense Department, sort of.
But
because
its budget comes from the Department of Defense.
Yes, it's the public
NASA's website, its employees' website is a .mil.
Yeah, because all the people, 95% of the people come through the military anyway, Air Force, Navy,
yes.
Whatever. So
they are. It is a DoD civilian organization.
Yes, civilian. So it's not secretive. It's a lot of it is in the public. Very little of it's in private.
It's not an armed service. It is considered part of the service. It's not like a branch. It's not like the Army or the Marine Corps or the Navy.
It's a service. It's a civilian service of the Defense Department.
Correct.
So we're doing real well. But yeah, so they were involved too because they had to launch it with the Atlas V rocket, I think they used.
Yes, they did.
Because they had to design a rocket so it would be able to go up into there because they've had to redo rockets over the years because they can't use the same rockets they used in the 1960s. So that has to be done too with new rockets so they can get the satellite up safely. So it's not like GOES-G, the only GOES satellite that never made it to orbit. Thanks a lot, NASA. So you watch that on YouTube. It's not fun.
No.
Because I made a snide remark about saying, well, GOES-R better not be like GOES-G because GOES-G blew up.
It did.
And that occurred 3 or 4 months after the Challenger explosion. So 1986 was not a good year for NASA.
No.
And
we're
then
still feeling the effects of the Challenger and the GOES-G tragedies today.
Well, and then what happened, what worse was then they had a missile, or not missile, a satellite launch out of Vandenberg in California that summer, and it blew up.
Yes.
So it was just destruction everywhere. So, and we could get into that because yes, Challenger happened, and it happened because of weather. So it had O-rings. So we could get into that, but that's kind of beside the point. I'm just happy it's gone up. It's in orbit. Thank God we don't have to hear about it anymore. Because I
just say that I am just downright giddy to see those first images.
Yes, can we have them now?
I don't know when those first images are going to come down from GOES-R. I doubt it'll be a year when we see the first images. I think it'll be a few months.
I would take a guess. What'll happen is they'll probably be put into. It's going to go into testing, but I don't think it's going to go into operation for a year. But that's not going to mean it's not going to be used.
Yeah, it'll get used.
If a hurricane is coming, they're going to use it. You know they will.
It'll get used within, I'd call it, by spring.
Spring, late spring, maybe like if there's a tornado outbreak in the plains or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or a hurricane coming in the summer. I doubt they would wait clear till November of next year to start, because by then, there's nothing interesting on a satellite then. There's no thunderstorms. All you'll see is blizzards and nor'easters. And who's going to want to see that? Oh, it'll be nice, but they want to see these big thundery clouds blow up and become this big mass of storms. They're not going to want to see a nor'easter. I mean, of all the stuff that's on the GOES-R, now GOES 16, because I'll just call it that now. There's all this stuff that involves with lightning and all this other stuff. You're not going to see diddly squat with lightning in a nor'easter. A little bit, but not a whole lot. They want to see the lightning that's like 15,000 strokes of lightning in an hour or something. They're not going to want to see something that has like 103 hours. Like, who cares? They want to, because I think they're really going to try to get it in and sort of into test and operational mode, sort of like a half and half this summer when it'll actually be usable, because they're not going to be able to test a lot of the stuff in the winter, because a lot of the stuff involves lightning and summertime stuff. What are you going to do? Point it down at South America and say, okay, let's look. It's like, well, that's all.
Well,
you don't want to care about a rainstorm in Brazil.
There is some use to that for the startup of the lightning detection software that it has.
Yeah, they'll have to do it in South America for the time being.
They could look at the Catatumbo lightning. That's almost continuous every day.
Oh, yeah, in Colombia.
Yeah, it could use that as its first kind of actual real-world test.
It wouldn't take long. It wouldn't take long there.
No.
And it's in the right spot, depending on if they're going to put it where GOES East is, because I think where it's going to be tested, I think is going to be in standby mode. It's not going to be. It can't be where GOES East or GOES West is, but it's going to be, I think, where GOES 14 is right now in standby mode. It's going to be, I think, in the middle, and it's going to be tested, and then it's going to get shifted to whichever way it's going to go, likely to GOES East or GOES 13. So that's probably where it's going to be tested, probably in the middle. It wouldn't surprise me to see satellite images by sometime, maybe by March or April. I think it's going to be turned on and turned off. They're not going to have it on constantly. It may make it on for like an event and then turn it back off. Similar to what they do with GOES 14, because GOES 14 is used, but only if there's like a major event occurring, so they can have multiple satellites looking at stuff. So we'll see what they do with that. Hopefully they're going to look as good as the Himawari stuff. Because and I know all the weather people are giddy, because a lot of people now can have Himawari available in their graphic packages now on television.
Yep.
In the United States, even though Himawari is only in the Western, but they're all giddy. No, Eric Fisher over at WBZ, former guest of Polygon, was all giddy about having it on his products, that he had Himawari now, so he's all ooh. So it's like, great, he can show a typhoon hitting Hong Kong. It's going to affect Boston. So yes, typhoon hitting Hong Kong, Boston not affected. Well, duh. So
you're in rare rant form today.
Yes, I'm in rarefied air tonight.
Yes, you are. As we all too bloody cold.
Well, but I'd rant more because of the fact that I only mowed half my lawn, because the other half of my lawn had leaves in it and I can't mow the rest. So now I'm going to have, the lawnmower has gas in it that I'm going to have to turn on my mower because I'm mowing to get rid of the gas. So I'm mad about that. I still had to mow my mom's part of my mom's backyard, which is overgrown. and I can imagine it's not going to do real well now that we've had temperatures dropping into the 20s. It's probably not even worth doing it anymore because I'll probably kill it.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, I mean, I have to turn my mower on because it has gas in it, and I don't want to have gas left in it, and I'm not going to want to tip it to empty it because that would be probably not as good either.
Right.
So, I don't know. But other than that, storms coming this week, might drop rain, hopefully some in the south, might dump some here, rain.
Hoping so.
Oh, there was there was like a tropical system in the Eastern Pacific. It lasted like a day and it went away. Tina. If that wasn't the biggest dud ever. Because I saw that and it said, one day I looked and it said there was a 10% chance of development. And the next day I looked and it was at 30. But then I saw on the top of the thing, it was talking about Tropical Storm Tina, and I was looking at the Eastern Pacific and it didn't show it. And it would happen to be the area where it said a 30% chance of development, and they'd already named it. I'm sorry.
Wow.
And it showed it like 12 hours later, they forecast it was going to be a depression. It was going to slowly move west and die. Well, why do you name it then? Like, I don't know. I think if I'm right, I think they're looking at something in the Western Caribbean. I'd have to keep looking. Let me make sure they're still looking at something. Yes, they are looking at something in the Western Caribbean. 50% chance of forming in 48 hours, 70% in five days. And it's not expected. And it's not expected to move a whole lot. So that'll be wonderful. That would get the name Otto, because Otto would be the next named storm. Because we haven't had a named storm in the Atlantic since the Nicole Matthew twins. So it's been a while.
It has been quite some time.
So we'll see what happens with that. That's likely not going to affect the United States because it's getting to the time of the year. Especially if there's going to be something in the Western Caribbean, it's either going to go into Central America or it's going to zip northeastward and away from the United States. So I would say if they name Otto and it goes wherever, that would mean the Atlantic had A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. O would be the 15th named storm. 15 named storms in the Atlantic. It's slightly above average. Matthew will probably be retired. Nicole might even be retired too, but I doubt it. Matthew will be retired.
Unfortunately for me, Matthew will be retired.
Yeah. Matthew's gonna have no name for a storm anymore.
Yep.
Unlike my name, which has never been used yet. Not even in the Pacific when I guess I'm not good enough. So even the different spellings of my name, nope, not used.
Not even the G spelling?
Nope.
Wow.
I'm waiting if they're going to use that name instead. I don't care what they use. Just hurry it up.
Hurry up and use it.
Yes, I don't have all day. Because I thought they would replace, oh gosh, what was it? Like a year ago, didn't they replace Joaquin? And I'm like, that's a J name, and it's a male name. I'm like, yay, they're going to name it for me now. No. They named it something else. It's like, really? So I guess I don't get a name. Oh, well.
That's a good hurricane name. Hurricane Jeff?
Either G or J, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a good hurricane name. Hurricane Jeff.
They could do the French name, which is Joffre. Joffre, which is Geoffroi. Joffrey, which would be really. They could do.
Sounds very French.
Or they can do the Spanish name, which is Godofredo, Godofredo, which is also my name in Spanish. It's either in the Atlantic, it's either Spanish, English, or French. So, as there's now a tropical system going through Matt's apartment right now.
I wish. It'd be warmer in here if it was.
Well, what temperature do you have it at?
What's that?
What temperature is it at?
If I had to guess, well, my thermostat says 70, but that's in my living room. I'm in my kitchen right now. That's probably 65-ish.
The temperature in my house right now is 70. That's what my thermostat's set on. And I came home about 6 o'clock because I was at my mom's. And I came into my basement, and it was freaking hot in there, in my basement. I don't know why. And up here, it was pleasant because my basement is where my garage is. So you have my garage, and then there's the room next to it, which goes up the stairs to my upstairs where I'm at now.
Right.
It was hot as heck in my basement, and up here it was perfectly fine. I was like, okay, I might have to like shut some heating vents or something because it's a little nuts. So, but I'm happy that right now the wind is not blowing hardly at all because I have the problem with my vent that's above my oven.
Mm-hmm.
That goes outside. It pops. It goes ba-doom, 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 ba-doom. It sounds like popping popcorn.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's like banging metal. And it does that a lot. It's like kind of like oh shoot, a timpani, kind of banging up and down, up and down, up and down.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And it sounds like that, and it does that every time we have a gust. It was doing that all yesterday, all last night. It did it for the first part of today. I haven't heard it in several hours, but it's so annoying when we get wind gusts because you can hear it. You can hear the wind going. And it goes. It sounds like somebody's playing the timpani up on my roof or something. It's annoying, but the one thing I don't like about this house is that annoying noise, and the fact that my door loves to blow open when we have about a 50-mile-an-hour wind gust. So,
regardless of whether it's locked or not.
Yeah, because it's locked all the time.
Right.
So. And I have to go and retrieve after we're done here. I have to go outside and retrieve my one thing that used to be on my patio because it blew away.
Uh-oh.
It blew my bushes. I have to go retrieve it when I'm done. So other than that, not much else is going on. Anything going on in your neck of the woods?
Other than gearing up for Toys for Tots.
Yeah, that's starting.
We're doing kind of spin up from that. We want to give a shout out to a local business owner by the name of Gary Levy. About 2 or 3 weeks ago, he volunteered himself, his time, his money, and his fuel in one of his trucks to drive up to Mason City to pick up a boatload of toys for Toys for Tots from their distribution center up there and brought them back here. Probably got 10 pallets full of toys for 3 different counties. Pretty impressive.
Yay.
And there's more to get.
Uh-oh, more.
And we got to go shopping last weekend. We got to go to Toys R Us in Cedar Rapids and go shopping.
Uh-oh.
And just the Jones County chapter of Toys for Tots alone spent over $7,000 for toys.
Yay.
And we might have to go shopping again.
Oh, you might then. Because I was at Target today.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Target yesterday, And it's bit, and I'm thinking, yesterday when I was in Target, because I was at Target in Blairsford yesterday, I was at Target at Edgewood today.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, do these people realize it's not Black Friday? So many people shopping. A lot of people were shopping for Christmas gifts, toys, for example, because I was mentioning that. Yeah. You mentioned that, I'm thinking, there's a lot of people doing that already, and they're not waiting because people don't want to shop on Black Friday. I might make a mention on Thanksgiving. There's a slight chance of snow on Thanksgiving night. At least right now, that's the forecast. Prepare accordingly. It's not supposed to be terrible, but it's a 20% chance, so that's just prepare now. So, but I think a lot of people don't want to wait for Black Friday or Small Business Saturday. Might make a mention. Small Business Saturday is next Saturday, everybody. So a lot of people don't really want to wait because you never know what the weather's going to be like. They want to try to get it done while it's still nice. The roads are not crap. There's no snow on the ground. But a lot of people are shopping. A lot of people are getting stuff done. A lot of things like Toys for Tots is taking place. A lot of things getting done. One thing I have seen very little of is the bell ringers. I've only seen one.
Same here.
And I'm wondering if they're starting this early, they didn't get to their, I don't think they got to their thing last year at all. They didn't even I don't think they got close. But a lot of stores don't do bell ringers anymore because of of people getting annoyed.
Yeah.
More or less. I know Target used to do it. I don't think they allow it anymore. Walmart does, but not at all stores.
Which is unfortunate, I think.
Well, malls don't do it. Some do, but most don't.
Correct.
I believe the one bell ringer I saw, where was it? I think it was at the mall. Was it at Lindale? I'm trying to remember. So I think Lindale would be better off having them not at the door, but in the center court or at the food court.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of people know. Or right near, close to like something like that, because then it's not as annoying. Because, for example, in like a mall, there's so many entrances in and out of the mall. You can't have bell ringers at every door. I mean, it's ridiculous. Because you'd have to have all the entrances to all the department stores, like wherever. Like, for example, like Lindale would be Yonkers, Von Maur, and Sears. You'd have to have them at every entrance. There would be too many of them. You'd have to have 20 people just at one place. You could put those 20 people at 20 different places and get more money out of it than having them all in one place.
This is true.
And more people nowadays are shopping online anyway. So, I mean, they need to really get kind of pushing more toward doing online donations for the Salvation Army. So,
yep.
And I think that's where they're getting more and more of their donations now anyway. So it is sad because this is of interest and this is somewhat weather related. I was watching an old Span video from when he was at KDFW in Dallas. This was right before Christmas, and they were talking about bell ringers being told that they couldn't bell ring in certain places. This was 1984.
Wow.
And we're now talking 2016, and we're now having that problem, and it's even worse because a lot of places aren't doing it now. So anyway, we'll see with that. But yeah, a lot of things happening. Weather looks to be okay for the time being. The nicer the weather, the more people get in the mood to give and do whatnot. And that was really loud. But because when the weather gets lousy, people tend to stop shopping for a while. Everybody changes, and then it's depressing. So
this is true.
So as for that, nothing else. So I think we could probably be done for the time being. It's nothing exciting's happening. Because I could probably go on more rants, but I need to save some for next week, or I'm not going to have any.
There we go. I like that. I'll probably have a couple of rants too. We'll see.
Uh-oh. He's going to yell and scream about Thanksgiving. And maybe for the fact that Alabama isn't playing great against Chattanooga. But anyway. So.
Now, this isn't football brains.
Yeah, let's just make a mention that after the first quarter, Alabama was behind.
Yeah.
So, yeah. It was only 3-0, but Alabama scored right after the second quarter started. But anyway, so, and they're playing Chattanooga. They're playing the FCS opponents. They should be thrown out of the college football playoff. So, and we could go off on that, but because a lot of football games earlier today, were affected by wind and weather. I know the Iowa game against Illinois was affected by the weather, by the wind. A lot of games were affected by wind and whatnot, and we can go into that for another 40 hours, but
we can save that for next week.
Yeah, because my voice is now starting to crack, so.
And my voice has been cracking ever since we started.
Yeah, and he's the one that's more sick, so.
Yeah.
That's the show this week. Next week, we'll probably rant some more. Maybe there'll be some weather to talk about. We'll see if we're going to do it on Saturday, because I don't know, because we'll see. We might do it on Saturday. I don't know.
I'll see.
But Matt might be stuffed by then, and I'll probably
I'll still be in food coma.
Yeah, I'll be moaning. So, so we'll see everybody next week when we do our show again. So yes. So we're all gonna run off to get turkeys now. So, so bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Drive safe.